Hello and welcome to this episode of the Be Free podcast. And today, a little bit of a blast from the past. We have a wonderful guest with us today, and it's my beautiful husband, Stuart McWilliam.
Good morning.
So today we thought that we would have this little blast from the past moment. I know during lockdown we did our lives with Susi and Stu, and they were like surprisingly popular, right?
Yeah.
And so we have had little bits of requests from people asking us to do that again. And we had a friend round the other week, Kimmy from Joyfully Living, and we were all just chatting, the three of us in the kitchen, weren't we?
Yeah.
And I'd said, gosh, I wish I'd recorded this for a podcast because it was so good. Just those kind of off the cuff chats about life. I'm really conscious because I keep looking at Stuart, so I hope that you can hear me okay because I keep turning away from the mic, so I apologize for that. I will try and look at him on the screen and not at his
I can understand you want to look at me.
not at his handsome face. But yeah, so we were just having like a little chat in the kitchen as you do, and we were speaking about growth and incremental change, and this is something that has been coming up for me a lot, and that Stuart has managed to support me with a lot, the understanding of it and stuff as well. So we thought today we would come and chat about my journey and how this can relate to anybody who is kind of trying anything new, healing anything, kind of trying to make any kind of progress in life, I guess, in general. And yeah, I don't know. Do you want to say anything, or do you want me to ask you questions?
No,
How do you want it to roll?
well, no, if you want to fire away some questions and then we can see how it goes from there. That's probably the best bit, is it? Because I'll ramble on, as you know, so we can be a bit more succinct in talking about some of the stuff that we're here for.
Cool. Okay. So I guess this conversation came up because I have been getting increasingly frustrated at points. I kind of drift from celebrating myself and celebrating life to getting frustrated. I even a bit resentful, annoyed, upset that I am not making faster progress on my healing journey. And I guess tend to be focusing on the things that I used to be able to do that I can't do. And I know, obviously, working as a coach, I know how I would approach my own clients in this situation. But when it's yourself, sometimes it's like it's harder to, the theory, what you're supposed to be celebrating, all the small wins along the way, focusing on what you can do, and having these goals. But I think I've always been quite a goal-focused person, a very forward-orientated person, a very ambitious person. So, and what's the word I would use? Just like quite determined to make things happen. And unfortunately, or not, or fortunately, because it's been a very positive learning experience in some respects, I've been really forced to embrace patience on this journey. So that's about 1 year and 3 months since all this stuff kind of started for me. Yeah, exactly. Because it was my birthday. It was like March last year.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was kind of when the wheels started to fall off everything, I guess. And I guess I just thought I would be better in a month or so. And that hasn't fully helped. I am better, but not to where I would like to be. So do you want to chip in with anything about this journey?
I think it probably hasn't materialized the way you thought or hoped it would have materialized. Because you're a fairly gung-ho can do, will do type person. When that's impacted with how you feel, it's not surprising the frustrations or, you know, how tiring it is for you and really heartbreaking, really. And as a person being around you and, you know, caring for you, loving you and being part of your life, it's extremely frustrating for me to see you experiencing that. And how we, as a person roundabout an anxiety sufferer, can help or contribute. That, I think that's the thing, that we're actually on a learning journey together in that respect, aren't we?
I would say now, though, for me, it's not like, I think it's been like it isn't just anxiety.
No, that's
So
right.
I would say that for me, there has been a whole host of different things, and this is what I was thinking about this morning in the shower, as you do. You know, that I think the anxiety was a byproduct of all these other things that I was facing physically, mentally, that we were dealing with as a family, that, you know, the whole perimenopausal stuff, the hormonal imbalance, the mobility issues that I was experiencing. So I think what I came to the conclusion of in my shower this morning was that actually, I guess originally I was trying to fix everything. I was trying to fix the hormones, fix the anxiety, fix the mobility, fix, you know, my career, fix my family life, like try and do all these things at once, which actually was kind of almost counterintuitive, because if I had just approached one element, then the other ones almost seem to improve.
Yeah, that's what we've discovered. Is, you know, the big picture, you can't actually resolve or sort. It's parts of that picture that will then create and impact other parts, without a doubt. We spoke about that the other day, didn't we?
Yeah.
That, you know, if you help, or if you look at helping that part, it impacts your view on the other parts. And that's definitely something that we've come to recognize.
Yeah. And I think this is why, like, what to have this conversation about celebrating the small wins, because, you know, if you're looking at that big picture, that can feel frustrating, overwhelming, as you said, heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But actually, when you celebrate that small wins, it's like, oh my gosh, actually, I have come further than I thought. So we were having a discussion the other day because, you know, I couldn't really leave the house by myself before. I couldn't drive. I couldn't ride my horse. I couldn't walk the dog. Like, there was all these things that I was unable to do. Whereas now I'm managing to do those things, sometimes with physical challenge or mental challenge. However, I'm now able to go and do those things. And it's celebrating that. So like yesterday I came home and you'd said, oh yeah, I'm proud of you, because I'd gone out and I had a meeting with someone, and we'd had a Pilates class in the morning, and then I had driven to like a local supermarket type thing, got some things, come home, and you know, it's like it seems really, I'm gonna get emotional. It seems so insignificant, right?
Well, you know what?
Because it's so normal. It's so normal for people.
Yeah. What I think we need to realize is that the most hardened, intelligent, capable human being can experience this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not a weakness, and it's not somebody being silly. It's just it's circumstances that are impacting how you view things and how you see things. And it can be anybody. But I think that, you know, you're saying there, you know, it's so normal.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're trying to find and get to, is that being normal, whatever that may be. But in terms of doing your day-to-day normal living stuff, which was being impacted by, you know, all the things that were kind of happening. And there's been a huge step change from 15 months ago to where we are now, without a doubt. But I think it's just little bits that you've done. It's little bits of this, little bits of that, little bits of the other that are now creating, a form of kind of normality, if you like, or getting back to some sense of reality, a real existence in a way.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of that comes from creating purpose.
Mhm.
I think I thought that by giving up work when I was ill before, that like suddenly everything was going to get better, and it didn't. It like really deteriorated,
Mhm.
And I think some of that was because I'd lost my purpose.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in the mental capacity until I started HRT to actually
Yeah.
like, think about what
Yeah.
that might
Yeah.
look like.
Yeah. And you lost your worth.
Mm-hmm.
Your value to you. You value the work that you've been doing and the people you've been helping, and the communities you've been supporting and helping. And when that's been removed and you're not getting that feedback, all of a sudden you're kind of it's like almost more room to be impacted by how you've been feeling
Yeah,
in a way.
totally. Yeah, it gave me a lot of space to kind of
Think the wrong things.
think the wrong
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
No,
totally.
it did. It like gave me
Yeah.
so much space, which I think it was like another one of those kind of rock bottom moments where you're forced to look at yourself, you're forced to look how you're living, you're forced to look at all these things. But maybe not from the correct headspace.
Yeah.
And finding purpose and finding, so like creating this new normal, like everyone, that's such a post-pandemic thing to say, but like creating a new normal. Like I said to my sister last week, I'd got up, I'd driven Lily to school, I'd taken the dog for a walk, I'd gone food shopping, I'd driven home, came home, spoke to my sister, and I had such a joyful morning, like I felt fulfilled. And I'd said to my sister then, like if this was my existence now, that I could only drive in this like certain distance from my home, and I can take my daughter to school again, and not feel completely paralyzed with fear or inability to walk, or it's actually a really great place to be.
Yeah.
And I think acceptance on your journey, like the key things I've learned are kind of the compound effect, as you said, of little actions daily.
Mm-hmm.
um Having a purpose, patience. Patience has been a huge one
For you,
for me, and
definitely.
acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Accepting where you're at doesn't mean just admitting defeat. It's not like that at all. It's finding um joy and happiness and pleasure and purpose and fulfillment in your day, despite the shit show that might be going on in your life.
Yeah. I think also, kind of happens in a way is that when all these things are starting to be fearful, we retreat,
Mm-hmm.
and then we retreat into our house or into our little wee space or into ourselves. And then our perception and view of all these things out here are so overwhelming that we don't want to go out and venture to them.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought of it makes you have a cold sweat and get all nervous, and can impact balance, or it can impact your communication or the value you got on yourself, because you think this is silly, but it's
Mm-hmm.
real.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the more you can, I suppose, stretch those boundaries. So you're just talking about, if you could just do all these things here, it'd be great. But there's so much more beyond that
Mm-hmm.
to get to be able to have a fulfilling life,
Yeah.
as fulfilling as you should have, in that uh, you're here to enjoy. And
Yeah.
it's being able to kind of get the path and the road to that, or the steps to that, in order for you to really benefit from that whole beauty of the life that's available for you.
And I totally agree with that as well. I'm not saying like, okay, this is it, I'm resigned, this is my like life and existence. But I think it's really important, because I was fighting that. I was fighting this existence that I was currently living. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to force myself to go and do this, or like I should be able to do this, or all these things, which were actually to the detriment of the progress that I was making.
You get stuck between a rock and a hard stone in a way.
Yeah.
Between knowing what's there but not want to go there.
Yeah, but I guess it's not that I don't want to go there.
No, you don't want to go there, but in terms of the impact that this is all having on you.
Yeah. So it's finding peace where you're at, but also, setting like, and this is what I would say now is like, and I spoke about this to my friend Fiona at the weekend. We were speaking about kind of, the healing journey or progression, or, challenging times. And before, I was kind of pretty like all in on things, like really, well, I still am, but like, just things don't have to be like, you don't have to force yourself into really challenging situations to grow. Right? You can grow steadily, safely. Growth doesn't have to be this massive, like, I don't know, taking ayahuasca, spewing up your guts in a rainforest, right? It could be just focusing on regulating your nervous system every day with like a really calming breath. Or for me, it's being out in nature, like sitting outside, walking outside. I take loads of photos, don't I, all the time, like all the time when I'm outside, like just looking at the beauty. Yeah, like the beauty of things. Like that can be just as healing as having to throw yourself into some kind of like feel the fear and do it anyway situation. And it's back to that whole comfort zone, expand your comfort zone, but like your comfort zone will be different to somebody else's comfort zone. And the depth of healing and transformation, I like, this is what I've learned from this experience now, can be so slow, incremental, gradual, but then it feels sustainable.
Baby steps,
like training for a marathon, or anything like that. Anything in life, like a new career, or you could go and get like throw yourself into a new job, like way out of your comfort zone and learn on the hoof. Or you can know you're going to go for that job and still prepare yourself for it and learn it. Like there's different ways to do things, right?
And I think there's your mindset, which is this is this psychological situation. Your mindset will help you determine, or will determine how you approach something. Whether you throw all in because you've got the energy to accept all the knocks, the failures you're going to come up against, because it's such a rapid growth, versus just taking it step by step, learning, growing, step by step, learning, growing, step by step. I think that's certainly something that's that we've seen happening over the last period of time anyway.
So what's the key takeaways, Stuart McWilliam, of this situation? So you've been, the whole point was that you've been great at giving me a constant reminder of the progression I'm making, because I often fail to see it.
Correct. And it's almost like an analogy of a newborn baby, if you like. As parents, you're around your baby all the time. But when your relatives come and visit after a week, 2 weeks, a month, they go, oh my goodness, look at the growth and look how big they're getting. And you just think that, well, they're just the same as they have always been. But it's because we're in it, we don't actually see it. And that, I think, has been the thing for me to do that for you, is reminding you of that, which I think has been really crucial, because you can be so hard on yourself. And I think getting it from somebody like me, recognizing that sort of development and that steps that you're taking, the growth that you've got, I think is really important.
Yeah. And I think the learned experiences along the way, like having, some people aren't really into that. I am. I don't think everything happens like, everything happens for purpose or whatever, but it's like there are learned experiences along the way that I think lessons to be learned. And I remember we were going to the stone circle for a walk with the dog and Lily. I don't know if you remember this. And I drove there, and I was quite panicky on the way. I was doing all my tapping and affirmations and all that. And then we got there, and then on the way back, you were like, "Do you want to drive?" And I was like, "No, it's okay, it's fine, you drive." And you were driving home, and we were just saying, like, in a year from now or 2 years from now, like, or we're going to be looking back and being like, "Oh, that's why this happened," or whatever. And you were like, "It's quite the fucking lesson, isn't it?" And I'm like, yeah,
absolutely. It is. And I think that in terms of for support, if you like, I've learned as well, because I've always wanted to try and fix stuff. What can I sort out, or what fix it, or what, which is maybe a male thing in a lot of respects, to recognize that you can't fix it, but you can support it.
Yeah.
And it's supporting that recovery, that renewal of feeling better, or seeing things in the way you saw them before, as opposed to the impact that trying to fix the actual issue itself. It's just there's just such a myriad of contributing factors to it, but it's being able to recognize it when it happens, stop and appreciate it, and really embrace it and say that's a win, no matter what it is, no matter how small it is, or how big it actually might be. It's definitely that recognition and that winning feeling, feeds your confidence. Feeds your sense of, I'm capable. I can do this. If I can do this, I can now do that.
Yeah, and I think it's a whole rewiring.
It is.
Mental rewiring process for whatever you're going through, whatever you're trying to achieve. I don't say job again, just because obviously Stuart works in recruitment, but you're going for that new job, and you're maybe like terrified to start with, and you feel like you don't know what you're doing, and you're out of your depth, and then 6 months later, a year later, you're recruiting somebody else to support you in that role because you've progressed, and it's just second nature, isn't it? So it's just, as you say, acknowledging those wins along the way will really support the confidence and the rewiring of your capabilities.
And I think this, want to feel normal, or want to feel like I was feeling before. This aside, nobody feels like that. We don't feel before, because we just learned something new today, or this morning, or an interaction we've had with somebody. So we're different now. So we take that difference and take it into the next situation, or the next day, the next week, or the next job, and so forth. And I think that understanding that for the sufferer, I think is really key, because you want to clutch and hang on to.
And this is the annoying thing, though, but it is really frustrating, because when I work with clients, or was working with anxiety clients, or depression, or just women who felt like they'd lost their purpose, I would be having that exact discussion. You are not that person. Like, it's time to create this like new version, accepting where you are now, because I don't want to be doing what I was doing whatever many years ago anyway. We were talking about this other day. It was like a glamour model. We've seen this glamour model, and she now owned a farm, and I won't say the person's name, but anyway, she now owned this farm and all this, and I'd said to Stu, "Oh, do you remember her?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, swanning about, champagne glass in hand, high heels, falling out
Champagne
of
flutes.
bars,
Yeah.
and all this time." I went, "Yeah, you've just described your wife, right? Like when you met your wife." And but just like that glamour model, I don't want that life anymore.
No,
Like, so
that's
we
right.
often like crave like what we think we once had, or all the things that we did before, but actually there's like such a new opportunity to look at life differently, to try new things, to discover new things you love, um when we're not hanging on to the past.
And I think the other thing as well is we can't expect, as we know, a different outcome with the same behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And breaking habits, breaking thinking processes, breaking behaviors, and learning new to support you moving forward, I think is really important.
Yeah, and I guess patience comes into that,
Well,
because you're not going to change
absolutely,
a behavior literally overnight. You're not
definitely
going to
not,
change your diet
definitely
overnight.
not,
You're not going to change your
definitely not,
mindset overnight. You're not going to change your physical body
definitely
overnight.
not. And the thing when you talk about you and we're both coaches and stuff like that. When you say about you say this to your client, or
Mm-hmm.
you say this, or and you should know that. Remember, you know, dentists have dentists looking at their teeth. They
Mm-hmm.
don't do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They can't see in their own mouths.
Mm-hmm.
And doctors go and visit doctors for their health. But should they not know themselves? They're doctors. So everybody needs the support.
Yeah.
And it's acknowledging and appreciating that and accepting it and not feeling ashamed about it.
Yeah. So I think that's another learning curve actually on this whole process. Sorry, I keep turning away. The whole process is about support and accepting support and asking for help, because that has been so hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
As
It's
someone
because
who's
you're a
pretty
fixer.
independent as
Because you've been
well.
a fixer and a doer. So you do these things yourself. You do it yourself. You fix it yourself. There are some
Mhm.
things that you come up against in your face that aren't, you can't do it
Yeah.
just because of what's actually been happening.
Hmm. Yeah. Thanks, Stu. Is there anything you would like to add?
Well, what I'd like to add is just be there physically or mentally, and be there for somebody, and just realize that we view other people through our own experience and their own perceptions. If you can take your eyes off of yourself and put them on this other person for what they're doing, now you won't understand it all, but for what they're going through, and accept that, I think you'll be more value to the sufferer. The sufferer is a hard word to say. This.
Yeah, I don't really like that
No,
word.
yeah, but somebody's experiencing these things that are happening to
The
them.
challenger.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
The
absolutely.
warrior.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're definitely a warrior. That's for sure.
So
Yeah,
yeah, thank you.
baby steps, step by step, little by little, we're on the journey, and it is that old cliche. It's a journey. It's not an arrival.
Yep.
And it definitely is that. And bit by bit, every step, every station you come to, there's something new, something different.
Mm-hmm. So I acknowledge it.
Correct.
Cool. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm sure we may
Pleasure.
get you back again, my darling hubster.
Yeah, let me look at the schedule.
And yeah, as usual, any questions, anything that's come up for you, just drop me a message, connect with me via Instagram, email, etc., etc. And yeah, it's been so good to chat with you, my darling.
Great
and
stuff.
we shall be back soon.
See you later.
Bye.